Huh?
All right. Good evening, Indivisible 11. We're going to do a little bit of a sound test. And thank you for those of you that are joining us. We are about roughly 15 minutes. Barry Loudermilk has a scheduled telephone town hall this evening at 6:50 p.m. So I thought it would be appropriate, those of you that have been with us for quite some time, that we are able to actually get Flynn Broady. We are downtown, roughly close to the square this evening, just as a live kind of side here to have a live stream as the discussion continues on. So we're going to share the event out with everyone as we're able to here. And got a couple of folks, and as the event is warming up, we've got a couple of prepared questions and just some interview topics as we make sure everything is working properly here.
Okay, Flynn, a news item today was the awarding of the design for the Native American Veterans Memorial in D.C. Did you have any Native Americans serving under you?
Yes, we actually did. Matter of fact, not too long ago in October, his name was Tiger. His actual name was Tiger, Daryl Tiger. I just went to his funeral in Oklahoma. It was on a reservation. The traditions that they show for their warriors are quite unique. And actually, one of the traditions, I used that at my father's funeral because my father was part Indian himself from Sanford, North Carolina. But the beauty of their traditions is they show a love for family, just like everybody else, a love of the warrior spirit. And in this case, Daryl was a true warrior, did amazing things when he was with our unit in Iraq. He was also part of the sniper team in Iraq. So we did have many Indians in our units, yes.
Another news item this week, this one was a real stunner. The House representative voted on the opioid control bill.
Yes.
It was a conglomeration of a bunch of different bills that they stuck all together into one bill. Hasn't gone to the Senate yet, as far as I know. But of the entire House of Representatives, 300 and some odd people, there were 14 nays out of all those people, and one was Barry Loudermilk. Do you have any idea why he might have voted against that bill?
Really, I don't know. And I'd hate to speculate why he might have voted against it. 396 people voted for it, and only 14 people voted against it. I can't imagine why he would not want the help that bill offered to those who had opiate addictions, especially for the area that we're in. The area, the Triangle, Cobb County, Gwinnett County, and Fulton County, that triangle is probably the second highest opiate overdoses in the country. So it's critical for the people in this area that bill should have been passed because it offered them the help that they needed to cure their addictions, to seek the help that they wanted for their addiction issues.
You certainly would vote for it, right?
Yes, I would have voted for that, yes.
I understand you had a full ride scholarship to study engineering, and you chose instead to join the service. Why was that?
Well, ever since I was probably about 4 years old, I'd always wanted to be in the military. Growing up, I was a big history buff, watching all the different movies about the war, and I always figured that the greatest thing I could ever do would be to serve my country in combat. And so in order to do that, I had to join the service. I went to Tennessee State University on an electrical engineering scholarship. But at the time, I really felt the need and the want to join the military. And so after 1 year, I left and joined the military.
And you ran for 26 years?
Yes, I did 26 years and probably would have done 30 if the situation would have been right for me at that time.
So your materials say that you had one combat duty deployment that was in Iraq, right?
Correct.
What were your other two deployments?
Both of those deployments were to Germany. And I actually had a small deployment where we went to London and did an exchange with the British Airborne Unit. And at that time, I was stationed at Fort Campbell with the 502nd. And we did the exchange with the British Airborne Unit. And we actually walked the steps that the 101st Airborne Infantry Division walked during World War II. So that was quite exciting time for me.
And what did you do on those deployments? What was your job? Were you a first sergeant then?
No, with the 101st, I was a platoon sergeant. Well, actually, one of them was a first sergeant. I was first sergeant in Germany the second time around. The first time I was a young E-Force soldier, the first time I went. So young and I guess a little bit dumb, but I had a lot of fun. So it was great stuff.
Okay, a number of people are asking what your position is on immigration, just in general. I mean, not only the children that are separated, but the whole immigration situation.
I think, let's talk about the situation that's going currently on right now. One of the things that people don't realize is the people that we're locking up right now, putting behind in detention centers now, are not all from Mexico. Most of these are from Central American countries that have caravaned up here to the United States, knowing full well that they were coming up here to seek asylum. And we've known this for over a couple of months, that these people were on their way to America, to the United States. But we did nothing to prepare for them. We did nothing to say, okay, if they're coming to seek asylum, let's get ready for them when they come, that we can take care of them and then move forward to grant them asylum if they warranted that. Instead, what we saw from the current administration through the Attorney General was that they decided to implement policies that we did not implement prior. And one of those things was making sure that the reasons for asylum had been narrowed down so that most of the people coming would not be eligible for asylum. If we had prepared for them coming up, I think we would have had housing ready for them. We would have had a situation where we didn't have to worry about detaining them away from their kids, as the law through zero tolerance makes them do. The other thing when it comes to immigration is we've made promises to the young men and women that have been here most of their lives, have gone to school here for all intensive parts, consider themselves American United States citizens without the actual naturalization paperwork. The DACA program has made promises to these young men and women. And I think as a country, we have to get back to fulfilling our promises. And we see right now that the current administration has gone back on a lot of promises that we've made. And in doing so, we have lost our place in the world. We're no longer the ones who everybody looks up to. We're no longer the moral standard. And I think if we think about who we are as Americans, that's what we stand for, to be the moral standard for the rest of the world to follow.
Okay, you're currently working for the Cobb County courts as a prosecutor. What sort of things are you prosecuting?
I work in the Solicitor General's office under Barry Morgan, and one of the things that I do is I prosecute misdemeanor, mostly traffic crimes, some domestic violence crimes, and drug crimes.
And there's something about an accountability court?
Yes, I am the DUI court prosecutor at the present time, which means I prosecute those who come into the DUI court. And the DUI court is designed for those who have had major issues with alcohol, who have gotten themselves in have multiple DUIs throughout their history. It provides them a treatment program that allows them to get themselves back, get rid of their addictions, and move themselves forward to become productive citizens. Prior to going back to the Solicitor General's office, I was also the coordinator for the Veterans Accountability Court, which allowed veterans who had gotten in trouble with the law, who had been charged with felonies, substance abuse, violence issues, and allows them to get themselves back to the point where they were. I remember the day I interviewed for the Veterans Court coordinator position. One of the things I told those that I was interviewing with is that we have to remember that these kids that we're putting in this program, young men and women, at one time in their life, they were it. They had joined the military, had done productive things, but had just lost their way. And we need to get them back. And most of the time, it was because of things happening while they were in military service. And those things, we owe them as a country to put them back on track, to bring them back to become the productive citizens.
You spoke about keeping promises to DACA youth, and now you're also talking about keeping promises to the vets. What are the promises that you feel we're not keeping to them and we need to?
Well, let's start with the vets. The biggest thing is for these young men and women, they're induced to come into the military to serve for several reasons. And one of those reasons is, if you are injured on a permanent basis, if you retire from the service, we're going to provide you free medical care for the rest of your life. Right now, we're not keeping that promise. It's not because the VA can't do the job, but they don't have the resources to do the job. The current administration is talking about privatizing the VA. I think that is a bad decision. We need to make sure that we provide the resources for the VA to be able to handle the number of veterans that are coming. We've got to remember, we've been at war since 2001, going on 17 years now. That's a lot of veterans who've done a lot of combat, have done a lot of things that we need to make sure that we as a nation take care of those soldiers, so that those who are following on will understand that if something happens to me, I'm going to be taken care of by my country. Now, as far as the immigrants are concerned, we've put them in a program where they've had to apply for this program. And in applying for the DACA program, we have told them that if you do what you're supposed to do, you stay out of trouble, we're going to grant you citizenship. We're going to grant you naturalization. That's a promise that we need to keep, because most of these people are young kids who start off as young kids and basically have contributed to our economy, contributed to our world, and made our world a better place. And one of the reasons that people think that we shouldn't is because they feel that immigrants bring about a lot of crime. Well, the facts don't bear that out. Immigrants probably offend 70% less than natural citizens, regular citizens. And most of them are hardworking people that are here trying to make a living for their family, maybe sending money back home, but are doing the right thing, which most of us should aspire to do.
I believe we're still waiting for Mr. Loudermilk, right? So we'll go with one more quick question. You talk about healthcare for veterans. What about service? What would you do about the ACA and the entire healthcare mess?
One of the things about the ACA that we're seeing now is that premiums are going up, deductibles are going up. But the reason for that is because we have not vested our Congress into making it work the way it's supposed to work. We need to make sure that, okay, we've got a plan in place, we've got an outline to provide health care to everybody in this country. We need to make sure we maximize what we put into that to make sure that everybody gets what they need as far as health care. What you're seeing right now is they want to roll back some of the provisions of the ACA, making it where